Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Priya Yadav from Elit's Technomedia. I'm a senior assistant editor, and this is our innovation talk with Mr. Ranjit Kaul, who's the vice president and country manager, uh, and is responsible for leading Everest business development, sales, and marketing. Welcome, Ranjit.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So, Ranjit, we can kick off this conversation with a brief profile of yours, your past work, and your current position as to what you're doing now.
Sure, Priya. So, Priya, I am been working in tech for last 20 years uh, over various tech companies like Xerox, Avaya, HP. My last stint was with Intel. I used to manage Asia Pacific and Japan for my last 4 years at Intel. Was all about IoT, AI, and cloud. Those were the days when we at Intel were seeding the idea about cloud. What is cloud going to do? How it is going to evolve the tech area, and at the same time, Intel was investing heavily into IoT, understanding the needs of digitalization of machines. That's what I used to do in that life, and then I moved on to Aries. Aries being a IoT end-to-end solutions company, and that's what attracted me more because I wanted to interact with customers. I wanted to understand the utilization of the solution, and I wanted to see how it changes the actual business scenario. Because what happens at Intel is we create the market, but what happens at Aries is we go and address that market and people consume our technology. So that is what brought me to Aries, and I take care of. I'm the PNL. I'm responsible for my PNL for APAC, Africa, and Middle East at Aries.
Okay, great. And where are you based right now? Where are we talking from as of now?
I am talking to you from my home. That is Gurgaon. Our office is in Delhi, Noida, but due to pandemic, none of us are allowed to visit to office. So I'm talking to you from my home.
Great, great. I am also talking to you from my home. I am based out of Chandigarh.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can begin with this conversation. If you can tell us how IoT is helping and is a driving force in the BFSI sector. How do you see that?
BFSI sector, if you look at from a technology point of view, I think the maximum business that happens in BFSI is in automotive loans and the white good loans, right? Leaving apart from home, because then when you do a home loan, your collateral is there. It is significant collateral which you get, and it's an immovable asset. But when you do financing for, say, an automotive or a white good, it is a movable asset. You can move. It can move from one place to other, and it can even shift hands, right, in between the loan itself. So it is imperative for the BFSI who have their vast business of giving loans to the consumers to understand what is happening on the asset and make sure that there is the NPAs that they get because of these moving assets remains under check. So when the underwriter sees the NPAs, and he understands that the NPAs can be reduced significantly if the technology has an intervention into it. It makes the life of an underwriter, and it makes the life of the people who are selling those significant loans very easy. At the same time, there is a lot of checks and balances when IoT comes into play. As I said, you can reduce the NPAs. You can make sure that you know where the asset is, you know how the asset is being utilized, and you can actually grade your things on 3 steps: that how safe is my asset, how it is getting utilized, am I getting paid timely, and what is the depreciation. If is it depreciating before time, and if I'm not getting paid before time, so should I repossess the vehicle, or whatever mobile asset I have given finance for, should I repossess it before time. So it reduces the time to action and decision in a BFSI, and it's a key for them.
Okay, great. That's interesting. Ranjit, can you just tell us a little more about Ares India operations? When were they established, and what is the presence of the company in India?
It's been, I think, it's more than 6 years that it is started its operations in India. We have a large customer base, primarily into B2B business. We have the big names of BFSI and insurance who we work with, and we have both sizable business and sizable teams in India. And our operations in India are pan India. We have customers across India. We have a 24/7 operations center in India, which is based out of Noida, which is called GSOC, wherein customers reach out to us 24/7 on the support requirements. We also have the biggest development tech investment team in India, based out of Noida, who are responsible for working, enhancing the capabilities of the various solutions that Ares offers. So it's a very solid setup, and I would say it's a very sound business that Ares has established in India over the last 6 years.
Okay, that's nice. Spoke about the B2B segment. Can you just tell us what are the benefits that IoT solutions offer in the B2B and the B2C section as well?
IoT provides a variety of benefits in any segment that you utilize it. In B2B segment, there are various utilization that these corporations are driving. One set of the utilization, if I talk about it, is if you look at the factory floor shop. Today you have, say, 4 or 5 senior R&D engineers across the entire factory floor shop, and your floor shop is say 45 to 50 machines today in any given manufacturing area, and you have 4 or 5 senior supervisors who take care of the entire setup during their travel. So if a factory setup goes down and a person has to be recalled, and they need to know where that factory supervisor is, how do I reach that factory supervisor? Because in a factory area, the calling, it's a simple thing when you are sitting in a quiet office and somebody calls you on a mobile phone. But in a factory area, the supervisor is indulged, or those senior engineers are indulged into the work. So you have IoT devices which are in their pocket or around their neck, so that people know which area the supervisor or that engineer is, and how am I going to move that person to a place where the requirement is. So you make sure you drive the efficiency of that supervisor or an engineer by making sure that you are moving a right person. It's same in the traffic policing area in India. Say, for example, you have these 100 cabs sitting out of any place, and there is a requirement which comes up in a place B, and the cabs are in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So you can, because they are all connected and through IoT, you can understand which cab has a maximum proximity to reach that place within no time. You can make those decisions. So these are very business critical, life-saving critical decisions that B2B can take while using IoT as a service. Hence, that derives the criticality of using that digital platform, right? At one place, you derive the optimal usage of your resources, and at the other example which I gave you, it determines how many in an accident or in any uncertain situation, how many lives can you save and how quickly.
Yes, that's very critical indeed. Speaking about the critical operations and the use of Internet of Things, can you also tell us if you have any plans or if you have any projects with the government in which places, and what is the nature of these collaborations?
We work with BSNL is one of our pan India partners in India, through which we have a strategy of co-working to deploy IoT across India, because that's the number one connectivity player in India, government connectivity player in India. and they work with us to provide these solutions to various government agencies. But I think what we have seen right now, you take the policing is the first which is trying to utilize these solutions because of the nature of the job that they have. I think the second area that we're going to concentrate soon is the health area, because as you look at the COVID, and you need to understand, how fast you can reach to a person which is in dire need. The health resources need to move there. So there are two areas that we are focused on, and we already have projects that are ongoing in the policing area, and we are working on a couple of projects that are ongoing in the health side of the area, and then that's purely government.
Okay, which states are these?
We work with Pune. We work with a couple of northern states. There are certain projects which are underway, so I'm not supposed to give the full names. But
Okay.
we work mostly through BSNL, because they are our connectivity partners in all our government projects that we have.
Okay. Are there any plans to work in the smart city domains where you have command and control centers?
Smart city domains, yes, we will work with the national SIs. Say we have partnership with TCS, Tech Mahindra, and there are components which need our services to make the city smart. That could be smart utility, that is power. How do you make sure that the consumers are billed according to the utilization? And then we are also working on something called smart grids, which is making sure that how can you reduce the power losses. You would have heard companies working on smart meters and stuff like that, which is a very KTBR stuff in today's world. But then we, being the technology leader in this space, we're working with the companies who are working at the back end and helping India to reduce the transmission losses by having and implementing smart grids. I think, and Iris thinks, that's the critical area wherein we want to invest our energies.
Okay. Okay. Coming back to the BFI sector and the role of IoT, can you elaborate on how is IoT helping players of BFSI sector optimize their operations?
Yeah, so as I said, Priya, it's not only optimizing their operations. There are many ways in which BFSI is using IoT uh, in a very actionable. So BFSI in itself is getting very tech savvy. So moving their data to cloud, more and more people using credit cards these days, more and more people using apps these days to pay. One part of that is BFSI, and in all these areas there is IoT. But then the area where it impacts their revenue directly is the area where they furnish the loans, where they provide the loans to the people. And as I explained earlier also, one is they can reduce the NPAs in the moving assets very significantly when they use the IoT, because they have the full control of the asset. And second is they can take the decision of reposition of that asset at any given point in time, and understanding how much can they let that asset get depreciated before they get the value out of it. Now if you look at the reposition, that is one of the biggest operational aspects of any BFSI, because one, you have to go find where that asset is, then you have to send a team to repossess that asset. But once you're using the IoT, you virtually know every 24/7 where the asset is, and then repossession time is reduced. That means you can resell that vehicle as soon as you can repossess that vehicle. So your time to repossession and resale reduces, due to which the depreciation cost also reduces on the vehicle. So end of the day, it adds to their bottom line by reducing the NPAs and making sure that the assets that are not non-performing, they can be recovered and sold back.
Okay. Ranjit, one thing that this pandemic has done is that it has brought into focus the use of technology for all sectors, government, non-government alike. Can you just tell us how this pandemic has impacted the market, and what are the lessons that you think should be learned for any such future situations?
I think uh, for the technology company like us, one change has happened that how we address our market has changed. It was a bit of lag when the pandemic started because every company, every organization like ours started thinking about the re-innovation of business. How do we reach the customer? How do we approach our current customer line? What are the challenges that we're going to face? The first thing that we set up in India was to make sure that our GSOC becomes a virtual functional operation organization wherever we are, so that the customers that we have today using our solution, they don't suffer, because our GSOC in India not only supports the customers in India, it supports the customers across the world. So first and foremost, we made sure that our GSOC is fully operational. It has backup lines available. Our agents can log in from home. That was the first setup. Second was, how do we talk to our customers? So I think that has taken a lot of change. But then, we have adopted that new way of working in the corporate area, in the technology area. Now, the impact of that has been more and more people on our industry. It has been positive because more and more people wanted to understand what is happening in their business. How can they optimize on their operations without having to have people physically in there, right? And that's when they came back to us and said, how you can help me to virtualize my entire understanding of operations so that I can utilize my manpower better and keep them safe. I think the adoption of technology, which has been averse in India, India as a country has to look at it from a different angle. They have to understand the nitty-gritties of technology and service industry and give it a very sharp look, because as everybody is saying right now, it is the first pandemic after so many years, after the French flu, which has hit and is still there. And we still don't have a vaccine which is 100%. The vaccine which just got announced, I think, was only 90% efficiency. So I think a country like India and all the organizations have to re-strategize their operations. They have to evolve their operations around technology, be technology friendly and not be technology averse. And there are organizations which have been previously in a wait and watch kind of situation when we approached to them and we told them that these are the benefits that you can reap out of them. And I won't name the companies, but they are into manufacturing, auto manufacturing, and we went to them beforehand in last 2 to 3 years saying that, hey, if you use technology and you use digitalization in your operations, here are the efficiencies that you can bring in the operations. But they were on the fence of watch and wait. So they said that technology changes, I will have to keep myself updated. But today, when pandemic was here and everything got virtual, those companies came back to us, and we had to double up our speed and help them get online so that their operations could get successfully back on track. But then they lost some momentum in between. I think that is the learning that we need to take, that you need to have your operations fully covered as far as the technology is concerned, so that if God forbid there is another pandemic, we don't lose that time that we lost in this pandemic to come back fully live on the operations.
Yes, that is very true. And also, this pandemic is still not over. So, so we have a good 6 months ahead of us to fight it, at least. Ranjit, what is your assessment about the readiness among people in India for future technologies? How ready do you think we are to kind of accept and adopt and adapt in a new environment that this pandemic has thrown open for us?
I think if you would have asked me this question before this pandemic, I would have said India is at 20% average, who are open to use the technology and live the change in daily life. Because technology is something wherein you have to keep your processes upgraded, right? It gives you a freedom of keeping your operations intact in any adverse situation, but at the same time it has to be kept operational, it has to be kept upgraded, and you have to have it is a you have to make sure that the people around it are trained enough. So you have to impart new skills to the people. People feel that it will eat up into the jobs. We at our Aries, we don't feel that. We feel that the people will have to learn new skills. People will have to reskill, I would say, to make sure that they utilize the technology for the best. But after the pandemic, I would say we are today at 45% of the utilization factor if you look at the technology, and they adapted, and they have also understood that it's the game of reskilling people and not redeploying people. It is the skill of reskilling people, making them understand what are the new skills that they need in the new environment, which in other way is perfect, right? Every person, every job, it needs to evolve over the time, right? If it is impacting even the shop floor, and the shop floor guy has to learn new skills, why not? Because that gives him something new to learn.
Yeah, true, absolutely true. Ranjit, I wanted to share with you how we have been at Elites Technomedia. We have been trying to make people aware and share the good practices across the country, not just country but globe as well. And we have used our knowledge sharing platforms for this purpose. And we also have a magazine, which is eGov magazine, which is a monthly magazine and Asia's first, which focuses on governance. So this has been our agenda to generate awareness as well. And before we wind up this conversation, I would want you to tell us a little more about the future plans of Aries Communications in India and what is in the offing.
Look, yeah, sure. Look, in this pandemic, wherein people, honestly, people resize their organizations, we actually we hired more in this pandemic because that was the amount of work that we have on our hand currently. That's the amount of projects that we have on our hand. We are rapidly growing company. We are a young company. Yeah, we are hungry for growth, honestly, and the people who are hungry for growth and are ready to learn every day and are ready to be quick on reskilling every day themselves, because in this industry you have to be current. If you are not current, then this industry doesn't give you space. So this is a young organization. Honestly, if you look at all of the leadership team, it's a very young organization. And being young means that and they come from I come from Intel. There are people who come from Tech Mahindra. There are people who come from Vodafone. They're all learned people, and they're all people from the technology background. And Aries in itself is not it's a 20-year-old. They know this technology in and out. They are the leaders. We are the leaders of M2M across the world. So my two bits on this is we are growing. As I said, in pandemic, most companies restructured their organizations. We hired more. That's the amount of work that we have today. And we are, because the pandemic is throwing the newer challenges every day. We are taking those challenges head on, and we are trying to make sure that we have solution for every challenge that we get. So our new areas are healthcare, utility, retail, and then we are trying to do something for the farmers in India, wherein we can ease out their farm to folk kind of a destination or journey, as you say it, with the new farm law coming into place, wherein they can sell their produce anywhere in the country. So we're trying to make sure that we intervene there and help the farmers to have more and more visibility. So we're trying to impact in all the areas wherein it's a social binding on us. As I said, the farming is very close, as the farmers is very close to our heart. Agri is very close to our heart. We're trying to make sure that the machinery is available to the farmers on utilization based payment. So we use the technology to make sure that the farmers can use tractors and can pay only for what that tractor is being utilized and not pay additional. And the person who is using those tractors as the medium of earning he gets compensated fairly. Those kind of social things we are focusing more on, while in healthcare and other utility we are trying to make sure that we have solutions in place so that we can go deeper into those technologies, and hence which will for sure help us grow our headcount and bring more people in from that industry to make sure that we can address that industry very well.
Great. Thank you so much for shedding light on the plans of Aries Communications. It was great speaking with you and learning about Aries Communication. And I'm sure there are exciting times ahead. Thanks a lot for spending time to connect with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks a lot for having me here. Thanks. I loved it.